Hello and welcome back to the fourth and final module of video storytelling, level 201 in our 360 series. Now, the fourth module is all about planning, publishing, and promoting our video content. So by now we know why video content is important. We have some ideas as to what makes really good video content. We have an idea of how we're going to edit our videos. So what are the final sort of tips here? And it's all about the planning process, how we're going to publish it, and then at the end of the day, how are we going to promote that piece of video content? So let's dive in. So we know that if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. And this is true for all sorts of different things in life. And it's especially true for marketing and social media. And it's also true for our video production. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up to make sure that our video production is as easy as it possibly can be. And one of the ways that we can do this is with the use of a storyboard. Now, what is a storyboard? We've probably heard the term before, but maybe we've never actually used one or maybe never even seen one. And quite simply, a storyboard is a graphic representation of how our video is going to unfold shot by shot. It's basically like a shot list, but sometimes there's even a little bit of a diagram as to what's happening in each scene. It's made up of illustrations that represent each scene or each shot. And then there's a few notes about what's going on in the scene, maybe any script, where it's set, what people are in it, and then, of course, what's being said. So it is a really great way to kind of plan out what your video is going to look like, especially if there is that story element to it, which we know that there should be. So why should we use a storyboard? There's a few different reasons. It's the best way to share your vision. If you are the creative lead on your team, a storyboard is the best way to make sure that you get everybody on the same page. If there's going to be other people involved in the production process of your video, but you are kind of the visionary of it, this is the plain and simple best way to make sure that everybody is on the same page and stays on track. It's also going to save you time. And who doesn't love to save time? A storyboard is your roadmap forward. It's going to make your production so much easier because everybody is on the same page. And ultimately, it's going to save you a lot of valuable time. So we want to keep the platform in mind. And we've talked about this a little bit through the distribution of our video. So knowing which platform your video is going to be published on is so important, even in the planning process before you go to shoot it, because it's really going to affect a lot of things. It's going to affect the purpose of it. What is the purpose of this video? Well, you have to know where it's going to be shared, where it's going to be published in order to come up with that really strong purpose. Who is it intended for? Where is that audience? Is that audience on Instagram, or are they on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube? And then a really big part of this is how long should it be? And that's a question that we get asked all the time. So let's take a peek at some of our favorite platforms, video platforms, and talk about duration. How long should your video be? So for Facebook, it should be about 3 minutes, give or take. And I say give or take because Facebook is quite funny in the sense that there's no rhyme or reason to the length of video on Facebook, because you need to be able to get across your point in however long it takes. Now, usually shorter is better, but it's not necessarily the case. If you have to rush through your video just to get your point across, that's not necessarily more valuable than taking a little bit of extra time to create an awesome video. So the 3-minute mark is sort of a good goal. That 2 to 3 minute mark is a good goal to start with. But make sure that you use enough time to get it across what that purpose is and what that call to action is. What do you want people to do? Twitter, 30 seconds or less. Now, it used to max you out at 30 seconds. I believe now Twitter allows you to have about a 2.5-minute video uploaded, but they still recommend a 30-second or less video on this platform just to engage people in the best way. On YouTube, the magic mark here is 6 to 8 minutes. These are the length of videos that have the best engagement and the best viewership of them. Okay, our Instagram feed, and I've broken it down into the many different video channels that Instagram has to offer. So on the feed, it will max you out at 60 seconds, but Instagram is saying that 30 to 60-second videos perform the best here. Instagram story. Of course, each segment can only be 15 seconds long, but we know that a 3-part story is the most engaging type of story on Instagram. So if you think about this, it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. So maybe you have a 45-second video, but it's broken down into those 15-second clips, and you've got your beginning, middle, and end right there. An Instagram Reel, it started at 15 seconds, just like TikTok, but they have since, and just recently, they have since increased the length time to 30 seconds. But that 15 to 30-second mark works really well for Reels. And then IGTV. Now, again, this is like Facebook in the sense that it's give or take, and it's 1 to 10 minutes. So it has to be over a minute for IGTV to accept it, because you are allowed to include the 60-second video in your feed. Anything over a minute is going to prompt you to publish it as an IGTV video instead. And it can max be 10 minutes. So that's why I've given you the whole length of time available, 1 to 10 minutes, give or take, in the sense that you get to choose how long your video should be in order to get across your point, and play around with a few different lengths. What does your audience engage with the most? Try a 2 or 3 minute video and try more like a YouTube length, a 6 to 8 minute video, and see which one performs better. Which one is your audience engaging with more? Which one do you see people finishing through to the end? That's going to tell you a lot if you look at your insights there. So always keep in mind the purpose for the video, right? We've talked a lot about purpose and objective, but we really want to get clear on what you want your video to achieve, because certain platforms are going to lend themselves better to certain objectives. If you have a really meaty educational video, it's probably not going to be best as a reel, because you only have 15 to 30 seconds to get that point across. But it might lend itself really well to an IGTV video, or even a Facebook video or a YouTube video. Remember your call to action. What do you want people to do after watching your video? And you have to make sure that this is explicitly conveyed, not only in your video, but in the caption or the description available to you on the feature that you're choosing to post it on. Always keep in mind your intended audience and where they're spending their time. Who do you want to watch your video, and what platform are they on? If they're not watching Instagram Reels, then you're not spending your time, wasting your time creating Reels. If you know that they're spending more of their time on Facebook or YouTube, then that's where you should be spending your time creating video content for. And then really important, cross promote on other platforms. Just because you made a video for one platform, such as IGTV, it doesn't mean that you can't or you shouldn't promote it on other platforms or even other features within the same app. So if you have an IGTV created on Instagram, absolutely share a preview of that in your feed. Can you share a clip of it in an Instagram story and send people over to IGTV to finish and to watch the rest of it? This is a really great way to kind of have that cross promotion, and you can do it across platforms too. If you have an awesome Facebook video, what's not to say that you can't take that video and share it on YouTube, or vice versa? Maybe it's a YouTube video and that you're sharing it directly on Facebook, or you're sharing a clip of it into an Instagram story and then sending people over to your YouTube channel to watch the rest of it. And don't be afraid to do this more than once. You spend all this time making this awesome video content, and we know it's engaging and we know our audience wants more of it. So just because you made it one month doesn't mean you can't talk about it again the following month. So share it again, and don't be afraid to share it more than 1 or 2 times. Okay, so our workbook exercise, our third exercise in this lab, is our video storyboard planner for you to get really clear on how you're going to plan out your video. So I want you to storyboard it out. So it looks a little bit like this. So I've given you an opportunity to think about what the video title is, or at the very least, the topic of it is. When are you going to publish it? What's that main publication date, as well as your platform? What additional platforms are you going to share it on? What's the objective of it? What's the purpose? What's your call to action? And is it going to be explicitly conveyed? And then I want you to start storyboarding it out shot by shot or scene by scene. And there's an additional sheet in your workbook that gives you a bunch more of these storyboard sections so that you can have more than a 2-scene video, of course. So our final reminders here to wrap up video storytelling. Know your narrative. What is that key message that you're trying to convey? What is that narrative? What are those F words? The facts, the figures, and the features. But we want to make sure that your narrative isn't just existing on its own, because it lacks context. So we want to use stories to reinforce the narrative and our key messages and to help bring them to life. We always want to make sure that we're picking characters or people in our videos that mirror our audience so that they can relate to them and so that they're going to resonate with them. Package your product with the outcome, right? People want to see how it's going to positively impact their life. What results are you giving me? Cool, you have an awesome product, an awesome service, but at the end of the day, what's it going to do for me? How is it going to impact my life? Call your audience to make a choice. That's where your call to action comes in. Make sure it's explicitly conveyed and you're telling people exactly what you want them to do or expect them to do after watching your video. And then last but not least, keep your platform in mind as you plan. That's really going to help. It's going to affect your purpose and your objective. It's going to affect the duration of it. And it's really going to affect where you're posting it based on the audience that you're choosing. So keep your platform in mind as you plan before you publish. So that concludes video storytelling. Thank you so much for joining me. The next lab in this series, in the 201 series, is tools and tech. So Kelly will see you in that one, and I hope to see you again in a course real soon.